All right, Bears News Fan Report family, gather round because what I'm about to share could flip our entire backfield blueprint on its head. Are you ready for this? Smash that like button and subscribe to Bears News Fan Report if you've been craving a new thunderbolt of optimism for Chicago's offense. Picture the scene. It's mid-June and whispers are growing louder around Hollis. Hall that the front office may very well make one of the most audacious roster cuts we've seen in years, cutting loose a running back who, despite flashes of brilliance, simply hasn't delivered the consistency this system demands. Could freeing up that roster spot be the green light for a far bigger splash? Is Ryan Poles about to reshuffle the deck and bring in a playmaker whose name has been lighting up highlight reels coast to coast? What if the missing piece to this offense's puzzle isn't hidden in the draft or in free agency, but staring just right in the face as a former Ravens star on the open market? Let's rewind to last season's grind. JK Dobbins, fresh off tearing his ACL, managed 102 carries for 332 yards and 3 touchdowns across 8 games, a respectable rebound, but hardly the kind of earth-shattering production that flips games on their head. Meanwhile, the coaching staff gradually shifted the workload to Dandre Swift, Roshan Johnson, and a late-season spark from rookie Kyle Monangai. The message was clear. We need reliability, explosive bursts, and the ability to shoulder a 20-carry workload without hesitation. When a player repeatedly finds himself playing second fiddle, you have to wonder, did the Bears see enough upside to guarantee him a spot on this roster? Or is Poles ready to make a tough call, freeing up cap space and roster flexibility for a veteran who can transform our ground game overnight? Here's where it gets juicy. If Dobbins does indeed get shown the door, Chicago would suddenly have a glaring vacancy in the backfield, and every NFL team knows there's no position more pivotal to sustaining drives than running back. Now imagine this scenario. The Bears, armed with a clean 7-figure cap hit and a tantalizing opportunity, swoop in to sign JK Dobbins, not the original injury-plagued version we saw in Baltimore, but a rejuvenated, fully healthy Dobbins, whose rehabilitation reportedly left him faster and more determined than ever. Could this be the renaissance he and we have been waiting for? Some insiders believe his exclusive workout sessions in Florida have shaved critical tenths off his 40-yard dash, rekindling the explosive burst that helped him rack up 1,000-plus yards before his injury. Is it possible that the same medical staff who restored Justin Fields' mobility could do for Dobbins what no one else could? Let's talk context. When Dobbins last suited up for the Ravens, he averaged a sterling 5.1 yards per carry, one of the highest marks in the league, and routinely broke tackles in the second level. Yet his ACL tear in 2022 cast a lingering shadow over his future. Now, as teams circle like vultures at the prospect of landing impact talent at bargain rates, could Chicago's reputation for developing running backs under our new offensive scheme tip the scales in Dobbins' favor? Fans are already theorizing that pairing his downhill power with Khalil Herbert's shiftiness and Fields' dual-threat prowess will create a 3-headed monster defenses simply cannot prepare for. Could defensive coordinators be drafting extra safeties just to contain this backfield trio? But wait, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Cutting Dobbins would be a bold statement, a clear declaration that the Bears demand nothing less than elite performance and that they're willing to open the vault for the right veteran upgrade. Could this move signal a larger strategy to stockpile playmakers around Fields in year 3, ensuring every facet of our offense is firing on all cylinders? And what about the other suitors? Rumor has it teams from Cleveland to Miami are monitoring Dobbins' status, eyeing a reunion or reunion-like addition. Is Chicago's pitch, come be the workhorse in our rebuild, in front of a rabid fan base starving for ground success, enough to sway him away from bidding wars elsewhere? Hold on tight, because here comes the moment. Yes, we're talking about JK Dobbins, the very same back who once terrorized NFL defenses with his blend of power and agility. Could he truly don navy and orange and revive the legacy of the monsters of the midway ground game? Could his rebirth here launch a new era of offensive identity in the NFC North? And more importantly, what would this decision say about the Bears' commitment to going all in around Fields? This cliffhanger has more layers in the fourth quarter of a one-score game. And trust me, you'll want to stick around when we unpack the cap ramifications, the potential contract structure, and the ways Dobbins' skill set meshes with our blocking schemes. But for now, let your imagination run wild. Could JK Dobbins be about to become the Bears' secret weapon? The catalyst that finally turns this franchise into a ground and pound powerhouse? The board is set. The pieces are moving, and soon enough, we'll find out if the Bears have played their hand perfectly or taken the biggest gamble of the offseason. Asterisk, if you're fired up by this possibility, smash that like button and subscribe. To Bears News Fan Report right now, because we're about to see if Chicago is truly ready to rewrite its identity in the trenches and in the backfield. Now, imagine the aftermath of that jaw-dropping roster move we teased clearing the way by parting with a veteran back, whose role suddenly feels redundant and picture-hollis, hall buzzing as the front office pulls the trigger on a blockbuster none. Other than JK Dobbins, the dynamic runner who terrorized defenses in Baltimore before injury slowed his breakout campaign. Could Dobbins be the missing piece that turns our one-dimensional ground game into a multi-headed rushing attack? Think back to the days when Walter Payton carried this franchise on his back, ripping off highlight reel runs that left defenders grasping at air. If Chicago actually lands Dobbins, we'd be tapping into that same spirit of relentless aggression and explosive athleticism. And let's not gloss over the numbers. In 2021, Dobbins averaged over 5 yards per carry and broke loose for 12 touchdowns, demonstrating the blend of power and speed that had analysts calling him a future perennial Pro Bowler. Yet a torn ACL and recovery slowed him in Baltimore, leaving a what-if hanging over his career. Could the Bears' medical staff and strength coaches resurrect that version of Dobbins and unleash him alongside Khalil Herbert in a dual-back system that keeps defenses guessing? Some insiders believe Dobbins' downhill burst and vision through seams would perfectly complement a revamped offensive line, one fortified by recent draft picks and free agent signings designed to dominate the line of scrimmage, making every play-action bootleg and outside zone look like a fatal error for opposing coordinators. Contrast that with last year's struggles, when the Bears ranked 25th in rushing yards per game and often leaned on a predictable ground attack that vanishes without stat boxes to run behind. Are we finally on the cusp of a renaissance, where Chicago controls the line of scrimmage, dictates tempo, and wears down rivals by running the ball every bit as well as laughably speculative hype suggests? History tells us that the teams who run with power and play with physicality tend to hoist trophies in January. Just look at the Ravens, Rams, or the vaunted '85 Bears, and if Dobbins carries even half of his former explosiveness into Soldier Field, the momentum shift could be seismic. Imagine the roar of the crowd as he cuts back against the grain for a 40-yard touchdown, or the way his vision and patience will force safeties into conflict with the linebackers, opening up play action. Passes for Justin Fields that suddenly look like a cheat code. But let's also acknowledge the risk. Durability questions remain, and handing the ball off 50 times to a 240-pound back who's already battled knee issues could be a high-stakes gamble. Yet when the payout is a reborn rushing attack that drags opposing defenses into Sunday afternoon shootouts, isn't that the kind of daring move that separates contenders from pretenders? Now, as Bears News Fan Report followers, we stand on the brink of a decision that could redefine this franchise's trajectory. Will the front office dare to unleash JK Dobbins in navy and orange, trusting that his talent and grit can resurrect Chicago's running game and ignite the entire locker room? Or will they blink, opting for safer incremental tweaks instead of swinging for the fences? Only time will tell, and our hearts are pounding with anticipation as we wait for that fateful phone call or that social media leak that confirms Dobbins is suiting up for the monsters of the Midway. Stay tuned. Because if this dream becomes reality, the echoes of Da Bears will never sound the same again.